explain the biggest difference between teaching in India and teaching in the UK?
Okay, so for me personally, teaching in the UK has been a little different as a paradigm. Like, because in India we focus mainly on, I would say, chalk and talk, or I would say more theoretical, like the teacher being focused. I mean, the teacher being the boss basically. And in the classroom, the students are supposed to listen to the teacher all the time, which is true even in the UK as well. But the main difference is over here, it's more like a student-based approach. So more focus on the students, them doing more of the tasks, so that a bit of pressure goes down on the teacher.
Was that a different way of looking at things for you?
Yes, it was, because some of the teachers in India do use this type of method, but it's not seen everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not universal, I would say. So we try to adapt it. We try to make it easier in India, but yes, over here I've noticed a bigger difference, more student-centric, I would say.
And was that quite difficult for you to adapt to that approach at first?
It's a mixture of both, because personally I like having students involved a lot more.
Yeah.
So for me it was slightly easier, but yes, because I used, old habits die hard. So it becomes a bit difficult, it becomes a bit tricky. So your mind is always focused on doing the things what you already know. So it becomes a bit tricky initially at least, but now, even now and then, you slightly go wrong, I would say.
What about the timings of the school day? So typically in India, what time would pupils start?
Pupils, it depends from cities, it depends from metropolitan cities or Tier 2 cities. Tier 2 cities are the smallest cities, I would say. So it really depends and on the types of school, that is, it's a private school or a government school, that too as well.
Yeah.
But where I am from, so I'm from Mangalore, so it's a smaller city in India, it's a small coastal city. So generally the schools over there start around 8:30 or 9 a.m. and it ends usually at around 3:30.
So how does the school day at your current placement compare?
It's almost the same. It starts at 8:30 and then it ends at 3.
In India, would there be an expectation for pupils to do any learning after school?
It really depends. Basically, it depends on remedials if the students are not doing well. So there might be some extra classes for the students, like how interventions are there. It's kind of similar there, I would say, but it depends. Mostly remedial classes or some special classes might be there after school as well. So maybe half an hour or an hour.
How does your school-based mentor or university support you to build new habits?
If I go wrong in any class, so basically what the mentor would do or any other teacher would do is they would have a feedback sheet with them. So it's based on the teacher standards which are there. So based on them, they give out the good points, the positives, as well as areas to improve upon. So on those areas to improve on, they tell what methods you could use. So we have learned a lot about it in the uni sessions, the initial uni sessions in the month of September.
Yeah.
So in that month, I think we learned about different techniques where we can improve and implement it. And I know, because we are international trainees, we might get it wrong sometimes. But what the mentor does is, he or she, they bring the right methodologies or principles to use it, so that becomes easier for us.
Do you feel well supported with those adaptations that you need to make?
Yes, I do feel well supported, because when I use those implement or whatever methods are there, and I get a good feedback from the mentor. It can be from the university-based mentor, it can be from the school-based mentor, depending on the observation. So when I get a good feedback, it feels really good.
How long is your commute to school each day?
I think it's because it's a bit far away, so it's around 55 minutes, I guess.
Yeah. And what method of transport do you use?
I use bus for now, yes.
Are they reasonably priced, the buses?
It depends. From where I'm from, I think it might be a little overpriced. But yes, overall it's fine. But what I've learned in the UK is, if you do not have a placement nearby, you either relocate near to that place or you have a private vehicle or something like that.
What activities do you have to do in the evening at university and at weekends?
What we have to do is, because we need to prepare the lessons. So it depends from school to school. Some schools already have their scheme of lessons, their PowerPoints, their resources. So we need to make minimal changes.
What sort of changes might you make to those PowerPoints and resources?
Maybe add a few questions of your own. The principle remains the same. The main thing remains the same, but maybe whatever you'd use for assessment, for learning, for students, maybe you can switch a bit, maybe you can adapt, change a bit for the students so it becomes easier for all the students depending upon the ability of the students. But sometimes you have to start it from scratch as well. So at that time it becomes a bit more tedious. It might take once or twice, it might take the whole week away, I would say.
Have you found that it's quite time consuming planning the lessons and resources?
Yes, it does. Honestly, it does. But it depends again on the lesson, how well suited you are.
And if you've spent quite a lot of time planning your lesson, can you see an impact of that in the classroom?
Yes, it does. It does work well, I would say, because once you know how to implement the lesson based on the timings and the resources which you have in your hand, I think it becomes pretty simple, I would say.
If you deliver the same lesson to a high ability group, to a lower ability group, what sort of things would you include in that lesson?
High ability group will get it pretty simple. It's easy, bread and butter for them. But when it comes to a low ability group, what happens is we need to, as we use in the UK the word scaffolding, so we need to structure the lesson in such a way to make it step by step and make it quite simple for them so that they understand what is going on, they know each step.
Is the way that we support pupils in the UK very different to India?
I would say so, yes. I would wholeheartedly agree on it. In India, autism and Down syndrome and many other things like dyslexia, dyscalculia, all those things, it does affect students a lot in India. But I do not see any corrective measures if they are in a, I would say, a regular school. Yes, there are a lot of special schools where the parents do put them, but sometimes the parents do put them in a regular school so that their learning does get impacted. And I've seen that personally when I was a student as well, because I had friends who had dyslexia and there was no real support for them, so it was very difficult. Over here in the UK you have special education needs, so you're labeled with it based on whether you're autistic or whether you're dyslexia or any other thing. So based on that, proper support is given, maybe different colored papers are given, so yes, and maybe words are given to them, so it becomes very easy for them to adapt to the lesson.
And have you found that quite manageable, if that's quite a significant change to your usual practices?
Yes, it is, but I do like helping students up. It is a lot of work in setting up the papers and all, because you need to adhere to every student over there.
What is your concept of Britishness now that you've been in the UK some time?
Personally, for me, where I'm from, how I'm brought up, the culture, what is over here in general, is pretty much fine. I do not find it that difficult, other than the weather, I would say, because I live in a very humid place. But yes, this temperature, I mean, the summer, spring weather is perfect for me. I like it. What I feel is, because in India we have a standard thing of breakfast, lunch, and we eat heavy in India. We eat heavy, rice based, so lots of carbs. But over here what I've observed is everyone eats pre-packed foods like sandwiches or stuff.
Yeah.
And that's pretty light for someone who's come from India. So now I understand how teachers like you, we can save time. But then again, it's a big shift because we are used to preparing food, eating a solid breakfast, so our lunch, and yes, funnily, you Brits call lunch as dinner. so that's pretty funny for us. So then yes, and then in the evening as well, we eat. I think the Brits eat very early.
Yeah,
6:30, 7, something like that. They eat around 7:30, 8 or something. So that's one more thing. Yes. So that's what I found pretty amusing. The amount of food that you all eat.
But going to the weather, it is significantly different.
Yes.
What have you found to be possibly the worst period with the weather?
The worst period with the weather were the months from November to February, I would say, because the sun would set pretty early. Yes, and it would be very chilly.
How has the university supported you preparing to teach in the UK?
So first and foremost, we had an induction session, especially for the internationalists, to make us feel welcome. After that, we had our initial collective sessions. So for a month, I would say, we had our specific subject sessions and collective sessions, so that we are not put straight into the classroom and bombarded with so many things. So it becomes slightly easier because we know what is expected of us and we know different methodologies, different steps, different procedures. And then once it's settled up, we are brought into the classroom with every week having 1 day a week. They are having either a collective session or a subject session. So yes, so there is constant help from the university every week, and whenever we have any problems, any issues, we can contact our university-based mentors or the in charges or the program heads anytime, and they will respond to it as soon as possible. So that is really great.
So what advice would you give to another international trainee that was about to start on their PGCE in the UK?
It is tough. It's not the easiest thing in the world. But what I personally felt is there are periods of time where you're super motivated, super determined to achieve things, like you're on track with everything, everything's going on well. But the moment there's some negative feedback, even the slightest negative feedback, or some fatigue, or just any illness, you just feel the world is crashing down on you. Sometimes you lose your resilience, it becomes very difficult. But then again, you can still come back and do it. And what I personally feel is, once you weather the storm, it does get easier with the help of your colleagues, peers, your heads, your mentors, either the university or the school, and also all the other members as well.
Have you found that it's been advantageous to you to have been teaching in India before coming to the UK?
Personally, I would say yes, because one, if I hadn't been a teacher, I think it would be difficult for me to just interact with the students. Yet I can talk to students normally, I can talk to my peers normally, but then again, nothing beats the experience in the classroom, wherever in the world. So I feel personally that because I've been teaching the students for 2 years, because I have been having an excellent rapport with the students in India, so the consistency in which I've been teaching for 2 years, yes, it has worked very well. But on the other hand, as I've said previously, small bits and bobs here and there, maybe more of teacher-centric in India, so I have to unlearn a bit of that, bring a lot more of student-centric methodology, student-centric techniques, use more of assessments rather than just lectures per se.
Yeah.
So that way I have had to unlearn a few things.
How have you coped with that on a personal level? Because somebody could come here and think, well, I've been teaching for many years and I feel very confident, and then feel, well, people are telling me I'm doing my job wrong, but I've been doing it effectively for so long.
It does depend from person to person, I would say, personally, because for me, students are still important. Their answers, their recognition of you in the class, their behavior, their response means the world.
Yeah.
It's still the same for me over here as well. It's just some fine-tuning, I would say.
Have you found there's been any surprises in UK schools?
Well, I would not say a surprise. It was I did expect a bit, but yes, the behavior of students there's a lot of contrast, I would say. In India, they're quite very, very respectful of the teacher. That's there. And here, most of them are respectful, but the thing is, the students know that they have a leeway. It's easy for them to be let off the hook over here much more easily. But in India, it's more like, even though the students might be disrespectful or something like that, the parents of the students will still be respectful to you. They will still be by your side. Over here, as per my experience so far, I don't think that's the case. It's quite less. Very low proportions, I would say. So that's one big thing. And one more thing, in most of the schools in India, most of them, I would not say all of them, the students remain in the same class and the teachers go to different classes. So that's one more thing which I didn't find surprising, because I've been we all are used to the shows, movies, and also we do know about the system. But yes, it has been a bit of a change, I would say.
What has been your highlight of your experience in UK schools?
There are a few where I needed to adapt my lessons to the class, so I had to pinpoint one of them. So I had to teach covalent bonding to one of the classes. So high ability got it easy. I didn't need to do lots of scaffolding or adaptive teaching on the fly. For a slightly lower ability one, they found very difficult to imagine it, to process the movement of electrons from one place to another. the resources which I had in hand were not that useful for me. So I created my own resources, and I've got beats out and I showed them on the visualizers. So it became much more simpler.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe with the help of your school-based mentor, or maybe by yourself, and then discussion with your school-based mentor, just pitch in some ideas. That's a great highlight, I would say.